Ever since the family asked me to speak at Brandon's funeral, I've been worried that I would not be able to talk when the time came. I could use some backup from Brandon right about now, because God knows he never had trouble talking. More often, he had trouble shutting up. I was lucky to know Brandon. I met him several years ago at Thornton's, one night after my shift. I would often go there after work to stand around and chat with officers and EMTs who frequented there. I was immediately drawn to him because of his infectious smile and laughter. He never stopped smiling. As I got to know him, I encouraged him to apply at the sheriff's office. With his background in EMS and his cheerful disposition, I knew he would make an excellent deputy. On the day of his interview with Colonel Aubrey, Brandon sent me a message asking how that interview would go. I told him he would undoubtedly be asked, "Why do you want to be a deputy sheriff?" I encouraged him to try to come up with something more original than, "Because I want to help people." But that was probably bad advice, because that was exactly why Brandon wanted to be a deputy. He never stopped helping people. Sometimes I find myself at the entrance of the Hall of Justice trying to give direction to members of the public. Questions about evictions, court date, directions to the nearest driver's license branch. The list is endless. Often as I tried to answer these questions, an enthusiastic voice from behind would get louder as Brandon approached, commandeering my conversation. I would watch as Brandon would give advice with a customer service tone on par with the best Chick-fil-A employee you've ever met. He approached all interactions with the public as customer service. Even citizens who came in mad at the world, ready to argue with the next person they met, I never heard Brandon use a harsh tone or a foul word with any of them. A lesson we all should take to heart. As friendly as he was also an extremely brave man. June 27th, 2020 is very high on my list of the worst days of my life. That was nothing compared to this. But Brandon was there by my side. When gunfire erupted outside the Hall of Justice, it was Brandon who ran toward those shots. It was Brandon who put the handcuffs on the shooter, and it was Brandon who helped drag him from the crowd. And it was Brandon who then ran toward the victim and pleaded with the heavily armed protesters, trying to convince them he was an EMT and he was there to help the dying man. Though his time with us was short, his impact will never be forgotten. Those of us in law enforcement can honor his memory by having the bravery to run toward those gunshots, the compassion to help those in need. And everyone can remember him by taking the time to take someone by the hand, help them on their way, and do it with a smile. I love you, buddy. I'll never forget you. We've got it from here.